Alrighty, so just a quick side note. Almost 80% of the people that watch my YouTube videos are not subscribed to my YouTube channel. So if you could subscribe and help my channel grow, that would be awesome. Thank you and have a great day.
Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? I'm back with another podcast. Today we're having on Elijah Barnes, who recently just committed to Iowa for throwing. Um, and we're going to just talk all about that and his career and how he got there, what it took to get him there, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll let him kind of give a little background about himself, and then we'll get into it.
All right, so like Sam said, I'll be throwing at Iowa next year. I'll be doing a shot and disc. Originally, I'm from Fort Madison, Iowa. I did track there for 4 years, did baseball, football, basketball. And so then after high school, ended up going to Indian Hills my first year for junior college, and then ended up transferring over to Iowa Central. And so this upcoming season, hopefully we have it. I'll be competing at Iowa. So,
yeah, awesome. And congratulations. And you're really representing Fort Madison extremely well. And I'm sure everybody in Fort Madison is extremely proud of you for that.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So how did you get into throwing? Did you start do they have throwing in middle school? They do, right?
They do.
So is that when you started kind of getting into it more, or did you more start in high school?
Yeah. So I started in middle school because at the time everyone was going out for track. I mean, there was, almost everyone in middle school was out. And so that's how I got my start. Didn't take it super serious. At the time, my main focus was baseball. Still my true love, but got into that all through high school. Still in high school, just really wasn't taking it super serious. It was more of a way for me to stay in shape for baseball because that was the season leading up to it. And then my junior year made the state meet. Then after that, once I realized I qualified, I was like, if we put some effort into it, might be able to do something here. And then my senior year, Andrew Troxel came out and after football season and said, he was willing to work with me. He said he didn't know a whole lot, but he was willing to put in the effort to help me reach my goals. So that's when I got really serious about it, was my senior year.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, that kind of goes to show you that, I mean, obviously you're really athletically gifted, but I mean, you put in a lot of hard work. You grew a lot between your junior and senior, even when you first started. I mean, going from, I don't know, you probably didn't make the state meet in your freshman, sophomore year, and then junior year you made it, right? And then senior year you made it obviously again. So, I mean, it just goes to show that if you put in hard work, you're going to get good results. So what is your major in college?
So I'll be going into secondary education with a focus in social studies like you. So
okay,
going into being a high school teacher. So
awesome. And obviously based on that, you're probably going to want to coach too, right?
Right. So that's what I'll be getting my degree in. But out of college, I'll be looking to be a college throwing coach.
Okay.
The reason why I was interested in that was because I'm really in social studies. And also, if the coaching in college doesn't necessarily work out, then then I can go back to high school and then be a high school coach and work on, not just throwing baseball, football, whatever.
Okay.
So.
All right. Awesome. So you kind of hinted at this before, so I think you're going to say this name, but are there any coaches that really helped you along the way? Obviously you respect and probably admire all of your coaches, but is there a specific coach that really helped you along the way?
Oh, for sure. Like specifically with track and field, Troxel was really the first one that, he was the one to push me and said, hey, if we really buckle down and we focus and, we work hard at this, you can do some really big things. And so I didn't really see the big picture at the time until, he started preaching it to me, and then I, bought into it and was like, yeah, all right, let's see what we can do. And so he was a major influence and still is a major influence with me,
Yeah.
On the strength side, obviously, Coach Doherty is a phenomenal coach. He really set me up for college once we got into the lifting of college and, specifying in track and field, everything we did in the weight room leading up that senior year transferred over, amazing. So.
Yeah. So going into like your junior year of high school, did you ever see yourself throwing in college, especially now throwing at a D1 college? Could you see yourself doing that?
No, never. And the funny thing is, after I made that state meet, my mom, would always make the joke. She's like, "Oh, you're not going to go to college for football. You're not going to go to college for baseball. You're going to go for track." And I always, just laugh and shrug my shoulders like, "There's no way. I'm not going to go to college for track." Just because I was so focused on baseball. So it's funny now looking back at it. Yeah, I'd never imagined doing anything, being where I am today.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's awesome, to be honest. What was it like throwing at Indian Hills? Like, what was your experience there? And then follow-up question, what was your experience at Iowa Central?
So with Indian Hills, it was a pretty rough experience. Coming in, I had a throwing coach. He got a better job, I think, in a school district, and he left after 3 or 4 weeks. So then that just kind of left me by myself for a while. And then the long distance coach, or the cross country coach, by the name of Blake Albright, he stepped up and said, "Hey, I don't know a whole lot about this event, but I'm going to come to your practices, and anything you need help on, or any way I can help guide you, just tell me what I need to do." And so he kind of stepped up at Indian Hills to being that, that eye that I can't see outside of the ring. And so what really benefited me at Indian Hills was, because I didn't necessarily have an actual throwing coach, I had to become really self-aware of what I was doing in the ring. And so ultimately, I think that benefited me in the long run, because now in the ring, whenever I'm training, I can get in there and immediately, if I do something wrong, I can feel it. And then I know what I need to do to correct it. So that not only benefited me as an athlete, but I think it will benefit me as a coach later on too.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy story that your coach, you just didn't have a coach. You coached yourself. I don't think there's any other sport. Maybe like, I don't know. There's like no other sport that you couldn't have a coach. Maybe boxing or something crazy. I don't know. Yeah. That's crazy to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was really upset about it at first, and like most kids would, but then I just kind of took a step back and kind of looked at the silver lining and things, and was like, okay, you know what? This is ultimately going to make me better, and it's going to feel better at the end when I won those 3 All-Americans there. Just looking back and being like, you know what? I did this. So,
yeah. And then follow up, what was Iowa Central like?
So Iowa Central, I transferred there because they had a really stable program. Indian Hills was still in a building stage. The program was still very young, but Iowa Central had a tradition of winning. They have the most team wins at nationals, I believe, in the whole country. And so they had a really good throwing coach there by the name of Jordan Burkholder. The reason why I went there was because Iowa Central was a very stable place. They had a tradition of winning there. And so going there, competing there, and they were in our district at Indian Hills, and looking from the other side, they had it all. Like they were stable. They had the coaches, they had the athletes. And so that's something I really wanted for myself, helping me transition into Iowa. And so going there, having a coach who had a lot of experience with sending kids to a lot of Division I, II top schools after Iowa Central, and then having teammates there to push me. So
yeah, awesome. So maybe walk through what a normal day was like in season at Iowa Central.
So a regular day would usually consist of waking up, go to class, going to lunch afterwards, then immediately afterwards we'd have practice. Practice would go from anywhere from, varying on the day, from like 45 minutes to maybe an hour 15, hour and a half. Then after that, I had a little bit of downtime. I had about like an hour or two before lifting. Then we'd go in and lift for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And then directly afterwards, go to dinner, come back and go straight to study hall for an hour. And so then after that was a little bit more free time. By that time it's 9 o'clock. So
So a full day.
Right, yeah. And then usually by the time you get back to your dorm room, you're still wrapping up homework because, it's college, so can't necessarily get it all done in an hour. So
Yeah. Maybe talk a little bit about what the process has been like going to a D1 school, what the recruiting process and all that kind of stuff.
The recruiting process has been the craziest thing. So the NJCAA rules for junior college, coaches can't recruit you until after your freshman year. So going into the outdoor national meet when I was at Indian Hills, right after the meet got over, right when my season was done, the Iowa coach messaged me, Coach Worski. And so we started talking, and we talked for a couple hours right there, just getting a feel for me and me getting a feel for him. And then after that, that whole summer was a lot of coaches messaging me, a lot of D1s, a couple D2s. So that was the craziest part. And then I took my visit to Iowa, and so I had another trip planned for Maryland, but that was about a month after Iowa. And so when I went on my visit to Iowa, I mean, naturally, we're from Iowa, bleed black and gold. So I was already swayed towards that way of going to Iowa just because they also have a tradition of having a phenomenal track program. They were in the previous year, they were Big Ten champions as a team. The coach there is phenomenal. He trained professionally for a little bit. He himself was an All-American at Auburn. And then just the athletes there, the throwers there, I just, really felt welcomed and felt like they would take care of me and help me reach the goals I want to reach. So. Yeah,
awesome. So obviously going to Iowa is probably an ultimate goal coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Now that you've kind of had to restructure that, what would you say your ultimate goal is now?
My ultimate goal, so I have a couple goals for each year. But ultimately, by the time I'm all said and done after 3 years of competing at Iowa, my ultimate goal is I want to be a national champion in shot put and discus. So also I want to be a Big Ten champion in shot and disc. So those are my goals. I mean, my mom's always preached to me, if you're not going to do it and try being the best, then why are you doing it? So
exactly, yeah.
So with all the experience my coach has, before I came in, he had a Big Ten champion in the discus. His name was Reno, and he also has a girl by the name of Loggy, and she just competed at Worlds last year, got 12th in the discus, and she's only a junior in college, going to be a senior. So,
yeah.
I think he's going to set me up to maximize my potential to reach my goals. So
yeah. Moving on to a little bit of advice, what would you say to maybe a high school kid or even younger that wants to go out and try throwing? What would you tell that kid?
You know what? It doesn't hurt to try. So for me, going out and doing it, I never expected to love it right away. It was something new. There's not a whole lot of coaches around. So if you want to go out and try it, and I've had a couple kids reach out to me. I worked with the high schoolers at our school. Just go out and try it. It can only benefit you. If you're an athlete who wants to go to college, maybe not even for track, maybe for baseball, football, basketball, those top coaches look for multi-sport athletes. Not a lot of coaches look for just specific athletes. You hear about it all the time, especially in college football. You hear about the Iowa's offensive line being all-state wrestlers and the state champs in throwing, and this running back ran this time in track in high school, all this. So it can only benefit you. So,
yeah, no, I don't think anybody's been sad that they went out for a sport. Right. I mean, most people are just sad that they didn't try something.
Right. Yeah. If you're an athlete and you're a competitor, it's never a bad thing to pick something up, start from scratch and then work through that process again of just competing and trying to go out there and win. So
Yeah. So obviously 3 years ago, you probably didn't see yourself ending up at a D1 college. Now, 3 years from now, where do you see yourself?
3 years from now, hopefully finishing up college. The plan is I'll do the plan right now is to be a graduate assistant at Iowa. So I'll spend a year or two just learning under Coach Worski, not competing and just really focusing in on coaching, picking his brain. But also my goal is to be at the point where I can go on and train professionally. So.
Okay. I know nothing about the pro throwing scene. So maybe talk a little bit about that. Is it just Olympics, or is there like a league for throwers?
So yeah, that's I guess you could call it a big misconception. A lot of people don't know, and I didn't even know when I started getting into throwing. There is a league. There's two leagues. There's the USATF, which is United States. It's competitions in the United States, and then there's the IAAF, and that's international. So when you become a pro, especially in the United States, you have a lot of those athletes have the opportunity to go train at a place called Chula Vista.
Okay.
And so that's a place where pro athletes, not just in track, but anyone who's competing for our country can go and just strictly focus on just training. And so like expenses are covered and stuff like that. So you just put your all in, and then the way you get paid from it is through sponsors. So whether it be like Nike, Adidas, something like that, or whatever. So.
Okay. Is there any? I know, like, for example, obviously I'm a big time wrestler. Wrestling's huge in Russia. Well, in the United States it's big, but it's not the biggest sport. But in like Russia, or like even some places like the Middle East, it's huge. It's the biggest sport. Is there anywhere in the world that throwing is like that?
So the best athletes for the past 15, 20 years, even forever, the best throwers have always came out of the United States. And so where track is really big is over in Europe. Europe, track is huge. Like the way we view someone like LeBron James or someone, there's throwers, track athletes over in Europe, and they're on Gatorade bottles, they're on billboards. So track is really big over in Europe. Yeah.
So are there any last minute thoughts, last minute ideas that you want to throw in there, you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything. I'm glad you're doing this. This is something really cool. I mean,
thank you.
Especially for anyone in this community, it's nice to see, familiar faces and getting to sit down and talk with them. So
yeah,
it's really cool that you're doing this.
I guess one last question: are you still like repping the hog gear every now and again?
Oh, for sure. Oh, all the time. Yeah, no.
Troxel.
Yeah. My at Indian Hills after outdoor nationals, I specifically brought the flag that we used to have, and I, held it up on my back and on the pedestals.
Awesome. Are there any social media sites like your Twitter or anything like that you want to plug that I can put below this video?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Elijah Throws, and then Twitter is.
I'll get it.
Watch Barnes.
Okay. Yeah. Check both those out down below if you want to follow Elijah's career. I'm sure he posts on there quite a bit. So I'll put those in the description below so you can follow him on there. And yeah, that's basically it. So thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, that's been Elijah Barnes.